Hi, Joseph. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. First of all, I would really like to appreciate you for taking some time out of your incredibly busy schedule to help me out with this awesome information gathering interview assignment of mine.
No,
Just
it's
to
my
let you know,
pleasure.
oh, thank you. Just to let you know, you are being recorded because this is for, well, number one, it's for an assignment, but also I think in the future, the intention with this assignment is to number one, help me with my interview skills in the future, but also just to kind of, get some feedback on how it is that I'm doing and, prepare myself for a live interview a few years down the road. So I know that you work for Chick-fil-A and you are in the leadership development program. And so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions just to kind of see like what does that look like? Because for me, tentatively, that is the next step. I want to see what that looks like, what that requires. What are like what are the educational requirements, your skills, like what prior experience do you need? So I'm going to ask you all kinds of questions if that is okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So as far as educational requirements, so where did you personally go to school?
I went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte and pursued a degree in finance.
Okay, awesome. And so you majored in finance.
hmm
Okay, when did you graduate?
That's a great question. I graduated in 2015.
Okay, so just recently.
hmm
Oh, that's awesome. What educational requirements are needed for this position?
So for the position in the leadership development program, they do require a 4-year degree to be able to apply for that and pursue that.
Okay. Well, with that being said, you did mention that you majored in finance. How relevant is your major, to the job itself?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, we don't require any specific degree. So you don't have to get a business degree, business management, anything like that. It really is just the requirement is just having that 4-year degree. I chose my degree just because it was something I was interested in. I believe that in the future it could really help me in just being able to manage the finances of my business. So that was kind of more of a personal choice.
Awesome. As far as the leadership development program, what does the application and selection process look like? I know it's pretty intense and it's pretty selective.
Yeah, so we have quite a few people every year apply for it, and it's probably one of the most competitive programs in the restaurant business to get into to be able to do that. So application process is you'll do your initial we call it like an expression of interest, and then you will be given the chance to fill out a application for us, and that application is fairly extensive, going back into your school records and a lot of references and different things like that. They're going to be looking for, are you active in the community now, and are you, what are kind of some of your achievements? Do you have restaurant experience, things like that. And then you'll send that application off. And if at that point they feel like you are meeting the kind of the base requirements, then you're going to go on to the next step, which is going to be a WebEx interview, so over a webcam, and you'll have that interview, which usually lasts about an hour long. And if you pass on to from that interview, you'll do another WebEx interview that's usually about 2 hours long, where you really kind of you question about a lot of core competencies and a lot of financial results from either a business that you've ran before or specifically a Chick-fil-A that you've been in. So they really kind of press hard and dig deep there to really find out your core competencies. And then the last step is going to be actually a in-person interview. You'll be flown down to Atlanta, Georgia to go to Chick-fil-A Inc. And you'll have a series of interviews there, kind of different from person to person. A series of interviews there, and then kind of given that final decision within about a week or so. So that entire process that is outlined there can take anywhere from 1 month to 3 months to complete that.
Okay.
And it just all kind of depends on your competitiveness and just the need of the business at that time.
No, absolutely. And with a program like this, are there any travel requirements for this?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you get into this program, it's a full-time travel commitment. So you actually do not return back home or have a home base. You just travel from one assignment to the next. So you get to return home on certain holidays and any kind of vacation time you take. But other than that, it's a full-time travel commitment.
Okay, that sounds like, a pretty big commitment. But with all of that commitment, what are the expected outcomes of being in the leadership development program?
Yeah, great question. So, for most people that get into this program, the intention is to become a owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A franchise one day. There definitely is a possibility of going to work for Chick-fil-A Inc. down at what we would call our support center. So that will be working in Atlanta, Georgia. But most of the folks that get into this program are looking to pursue, sharpening up their skills to be able to become a franchisee of a Chick-fil-A one day.
Awesome. So as far as leadership development program, what is your specific job title? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day?
Yeah, so there's two different roles you can do in this program. Currently, I'm what's called a grand opening supervisor. So I get to travel around in the United States, and every month and a half to 2 months, I'll open a new Chick-fil-A restaurant in different states. So I just came from Minnesota down here to Houston, Texas, where I am opening up a restaurant here. So we get to be a part of kind of all phases of the business. So we're kind of the sum of a lot of parts. So we'll deal with real estate and construction problems, issues, and restaurants, operationally things. We do a lot of the training and help with any kind of marketing events, everything like that. So we kind of have a lot of moving parts that we manage as a grand opening supervisor to kind of make this all come together. So that's kind of our role at this time.
And I heard you touch base on the IM side of things. What does that look like?
Yep. So IM stands for interim manager, and basically what that is you get the opportunity to be a corporate owner operator. So you actually don't own any part of that business, but you're going to be there acting as that interim owner operator. So you are controlling the store on behalf of Chick-fil-A corporate, and so you're running that business. So a little less flashy than the grand opening supervisor, but a little bit more day to day and actually operating and leading that business. So you usually be there for some periods of 4 to 6 months, so a little bit longer of a time, but that's still something that's all encapsulated into our program, the leadership development program.
Okay, I mean that would make sense, to go from learning how to put it together to eventually running it as if it were your own. Now, if you take the goal of the owner operator out of the picture, why did you choose this? Why did you choose to put yourself through this 24 to 30 month program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think just in general, even taking that out of the equation, Chick-fil-A is such a high performance organization to work for that getting to have an opportunity to travel, at a young age, be able to travel the country for 2 years. You get to experience a lot of different business situations and just really get a pretty broad learning of just how business works in different parts of the United States. And then just a lot of leadership experience and a lot of restaurant management experiences, which is ultimately something that I really love doing and getting able to do that. So kind of taking that out of the equation, that's why I ultimately chose to do that, just to really get a cool opportunity, and then just to really work on sharpening and owning those business skills just in general.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like even if owning a restaurant or a franchise of your own weren't the final goal, it definitely seems like there's so many skills that you can learn here that you can take literally anywhere else in any other industry that you wanted to pursue in the future. Now, I understand that this program is, for the most part, or I want to say almost exclusively, an internal position. So, how important is experience in the restaurant prior to entering the program?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you actually it's required that you have worked for Chick-fil-A for at least 2 years before getting into this program. So that could be worked for them a couple of years beforehand, and maybe did something else, and then coming back to Chick-fil-A. But at some point, you have to have at least 2 years of experience. So the path can look a little different for some folks. If you've currently worked in a restaurant, you're gonna, if you get accepted to that, you're gonna go straight into the role, get training, and then go out into the field. So if you haven't had recent Chick-fil-A experience, you get sent off to kind of like a base camp type thing, which is going to be for 4 months. You go into a company operated restaurant and kind of get to be hands on with a interim manager, really learn any kind of the nuances of the business, and get a lot of hands on experience. So you're kind of a little bit more caught up by the time that you get to where everybody else is. So there's two different paths. That's kind of the only two there.
Wow, I actually had never heard of base camp. I did not even know that that was a thing. But I mean, it does make sense that you would need to spend some time in the business before you dove headfirst into this. And with that, you actually answered my next question. I was going to ask you, like, what was the recommended period of time that one should be in the restaurant prior to applying? But moving forward, so while in the restaurant, what should one be doing to prepare themselves for the interviewing and selection process?
Yeah. So while in the restaurant before getting into this, I would say the best thing you could do is just really focus on developing others, and then how are you creating value for your current owner operator. So that kind of encapsulates financial results, operational results, and then definitely that developmental piece of their business. So developing people, what we call building the bed. So you're building, for future success and growth, building future leaders. And then also a very important part is, again, driving those financial and operational results. So how focused are you on really having an entrepreneurial spirit and really, driving results, and not always waiting for somebody, for your owner operator to tell you what to do, but how much of those results are you really kind of coming up with yourself, pioneering ideas, and really pushing those, and being that champion for your team without always being told everything to do. And so then to prepare for the interview process, just really helps to write all those things down. They can get kind of lost. So a recommendation that we always have is always keeping a new, fresh journal of things that you've done is very helpful tip to be able to remember those things. And then another great experience, something I did before I got into the program, was just doing a lot of mock interviews with different owner operators, or even people in our leadership development program that can take their time to do some mock interviews with you, because they really are going to be able to kind of drive home a lot of the questions that you could potentially be asked in that interview process, which is just, it always kind of keeps it fresh on your mind to be able to answer those things and continue driving, what ultimately you want to be able to answer in those interviews.
No, for sure. So it sounds like essentially, in order to prepare yourself for this, aside from ensuring that day-to-day operations are good, essentially you want to be able to speak to good results and just seek out opportunities to just always sharpen your interview skills, and just continue to build that business acumen. If that, I think that would be a great way to summarize that.
Yeah.
No, so a little bit off track, but did you do anything before Chick-fil-A, and how did that experience prepare you for this opportunity?
So the question was, did I do anything different before Chick-fil-A?
Yes.
So I actually have worked for Chick-fil-A since I was 14 years old.
Oh
So
my goodness.
the most that I've ever done was working for my brother's business, which he has like a family entertainment business. So just worked with him on helping get new clients, stuff like that. But nothing really where I was spending most of my time doing that.
Okay.
So I've worked for Chick-fil-A since I was 14, and at about the age of 17 decided that was kind of the only thing I ever wanted to do, so I've been really pursuing that since then.
No, absolutely. And this is not to say that I definitely do not foresee you, becoming an owner operator in probably the next 12 months. But if Chick-fil-A were not what you were pursuing, what would you actually be pursuing?
So if I wasn't pursuing Chick-fil-A, I think I would. Look at. I think I would look at something that's totally new to be able to do something in leadership development. That's something that's really big on my heart of being able to do. So, whether that's working with young adults or just kind of being a motivational speaker for people. I think that's something that's really big on my heart, and something that I would want to do is pursuing just that leadership development piece.
Oh, no, for sure. And I definitely believe that. I mean, Exhibit A, you are taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to answer my questions. And I guess moving forward, so this is a 24 to 30 month program. How does this extended period of travel prepare you for an opportunity as a stationary owner operator or, part of corporate staff?
Yeah, so I think the travel is really all kind of relative. I think what it does best for you is you get introduced to quite a few. Unless you were just traveling all over the place before you got into this, it really helps you be able to see different parts of the United States, and can really open you up to a lot of different possibilities of potential new places to own a business. Because if you've lived in the same state or maybe two states your entire life, it's kind of hard to know what business is like in the other parts of the country. So it can really open your eyes up to maybe new places that you'd never thought before to be able to do business, and can really give you a good perspective on that.
No, for sure. And I guess as far as skills and abilities, this seems like a pretty common question, but I feel like it's an important one. How important is it to be semi-proficient in a foreign language in this position?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the example to the exhibit A right here. So I'm in Houston, Texas right now, and quite a few, probably 60% of our team that we have hired and are working with either speak a little bit of English or maybe no English at all, and primarily Spanish. So it's very it can be very, very useful and a great asset to be able to be bilingual in different languages, because you never know while you're out here on the road what you may encounter and who you can impact by being able to speak a different language. So I think it's definitely very important.
No, definitely. And and I know that, like, especially in Chick-fil-A, because I guess myself working in the restaurant for a little over 4 years now, we're always preaching communication. But what communications are absolutely essential to be successful in this job?
So I think being able to really, I think being able to communicate in high intensity environments for sure is number one, just because that's kind of the nature of what we do. So being able to remain calm and keep an open line of communication to all of those around you, especially your team, is going to be very important. And then being able to communicate with business leaders as well, because you're going to be working with a lot of high-level owner operators and franchisees, and you even meet some other business owners along the way that want to stop by and be able to speak to things and ask you questions. So being able to communicate on a high level, showing your business acumen, things like that to higher level business leaders is going to be very important. So it's kind of a big formula. You've got different parts of being able to communicate to a high level business leader, being able to communicate to the 80% of our staff is going to be under the age of 18, so being able to communicate to those young folks and be able to lead them, and then also being able to communicate to that adult level that we also employ at our restaurants, and kind of putting all that together, and doing that, and then maybe throw in there that some other people don't speak the best English, or they may communicate differently. So I think there's a lot of different avenues of communication that are really vital to this position.
Absolutely. And as far as skills as well, are there any skills specific to Chick-fil-A that a potential candidate should be proficient in before applying?
Skills specific to Chick-fil-A, yeah, absolutely. So we require everybody to have be able to be proficient in our inventory management systems. So we call Inform. So being proficient in that and being able to also open and close the day on our back office system in our computer system. So being able to open and close the days, being able to write a labor schedule and kind of be able to tell the difference of being able to schedule well to slow peaks and high peak periods. And being able to read what we call a fee calculation report, so it's FCR, just kind of a balance sheet of your business. So that's also a requirement of being able to do that. And these are all things that we want candidates to be proficient in, because they're going to be advising new owner operators on things they could do for their business, tailoring to their business to be able to affect these matrices and balance sheets, stuff like that. So we want our candidates to be able to be proficient in that, so they can be a good consultant to those specific areas.
No, definitely. I mean, I feel like there's like this, laundry list of things that
Yes.
you should definitely know before going in. But I think now that, that's been laid out in detail, that's definitely a lot more clear now. What does an average work week look like while you're in the program?
So we kind of have ups and downs. So in my current role right now, we'll call getting on the ground, 6 weeks out before the grand opening, and I'm usually working a pretty corporate work week of 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But so for example, right now I'm getting about a week out from this current grand opening. Hours really fluctuate. Time's kind of a little less important. You're working more. Instead of a 40-hour work week, you're working more 60. And then once you get into that grand opening week and the weeks after, it's very common for us to work 100 to 110 hours a week, and sometimes more if the situation needs for it.
Have you ever worked one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually worked quite a few of those.
I was like, do you ever sleep during those weeks? Probably not.
Yeah. No, not a lot. There's not a lot.
Right. I feel like also in Chick-fil-A, we're always preaching about, building your business acumen. Do you have any great recommendations or anything that I should, keep an eye out for on how to just continue sharpening my business acumen on a daily basis?
Yeah, so the things that I've really found that has helped a lot are just really immersing yourself in the business world. So not just restaurants and managing a restaurant. So things like Bloomberg. I watch a lot of Bloomberg in the morning while I'm getting ready, and you're just kind of hearing what's going on in financial markets and around the world, and staying up to date on current events. Just kind of in that business world, and reading articles from Entrepreneur and Inc. magazine, Wall Street Journal, and Barron's magazine, things like that. Just really keep you up to date on the business world as a whole. So I I'd like to focus on that area, and then also focus on industry specific things. So restaurant news, QSR magazine, things like that that are specific to the quick service industry, to where I'm staying sharp on what's going on, and our potential competitors, things like that. So those are just a couple of things that are just real quick tips that's pretty easy for anybody and accessible for most people to be able to do, that just kind of helps with that ever growing business acumen.
No, I think you touched on a lot of really important points. I think it's super vital that we keep an eye out on everything else and not just Chick-fil-A. Now, I guess to close out like the portion of this where I ask you questions, I guess my final question for you is, at the end of everything, where do you see yourself? Like, what is the dream? Like at the end of these 30 months, where do you want to cut that ribbon?
Yeah, for me, I've always wanted to be, I've wanted to be an owner operator for such a long time now that I'm actually a little less region and location specific, looking more for opportunity and becoming an owner operator. So I've got three main places that I'd really like to look for a restaurant. So in Texas, which is where I'm from. I'm from Dallas, so I think anywhere in Texas would be a great option for me to look at. And where I'm most recently from, North Carolina, would also be a region that'd be a state that I'm very interested in, getting back to my family and where they're all at now. And then Florida, where some of my extended family is, and essentially where my parents might retire. So I think that's kind of more of a future place to look at, and have had a lot of experiences down in Florida and love being down in that state. So those are three places I could really see myself cutting the ribbon at, hopefully.
No, absolutely. That's so funny. You said where my parents will probably retire. I mean, won't they all? Won't they all? Do you have any questions for me? Anything that you may want to pick my brain about as I am, potentially looking into this, a few years down the road?
Yeah, I think the thing I'd be most interested in hearing is just how are you developing yourself now to prepare for this role? So I think that's such an important thing that a lot of folks forget is kind of preparing for that along the road. And while you're in school, such a great time to be able to do that while you're developing your mind, going through school, and also be working on that professionalism and getting ready for this role that you kind of know you already want to go into.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like as far as myself, well, I am also from North Carolina, and I started working for Chick-fil-A out there, and got into, started, getting my feet wet in the corporate scene as a grand opening trainer. And now here we are 17 grand openings later. And I somehow ended up moving down here to Texas because I felt it would have been a great growth opportunity. And so far it has been. I've spent the last year here in Texas just building the bench here for the operator that I'm working for, just really creating systems, making sure that like once I step back out of this restaurant, because I'm actually fixing to move back to North Carolina in a few weeks. I think my time here, I've really just try to, create systems, build relationships, but also, make sure that we build a bench and make sure that he's set up for success, as he is not only looking to grow this current restaurant, but is potentially looking to become a multi-unit operator as well. And so I just hope that the groundwork that I laid here will propel him to that multi-unit platform. And I think, on an educational level, I am working and going to school full time. So my plate is pretty full. But I think that it definitely helps me to prioritize and just to even on a personal level, I think this year has been just such a great growth opportunity. And then in a few weeks, I'm moving back to North Carolina to work for a pretty veteran operator. And I'm really excited about going back to work for a female operator. And I feel like just seeing the business from a female perspective will also be a great, learning opportunity, just because, I mean, I know it will be different. I know it will be different. And I'm really looking forward to it. And she's got some great connections as well. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to, building on those and just building relationships. So, as of now, I believe that's what I'm doing to prepare myself for this. I don't know, who knows, 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking half an hour out of your incredibly busy schedule. I know you're getting ready to open up a restaurant in Houston in a few days. So, best of luck with the grand opening. I hope everything goes really smooth. And again, thank you so much for your time. And I really appreciate this. I feel like this will be great practice for the future.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much.